This is, am I the astronaut for telling my wife she was putting her needs before our kids' safety during a severe thunderstorm warning? I'm sure many of you have heard our version before, which involved me up at the double doors pushing with all of my weight while the wind was trying to blow them in, and Candy Thunder standing in the living room looking at the news like while they weren't even talking about the weather, like, gosh dang it, just she was not taking it nearly as seriously as I was. I swear if you wrote this and you're having me read it on a live, they thought I wrote it. No, it was not me. It was not me. Important backstory information. My wife, let's call her Candy. It doesn't say Candy, it says Jess. I'm just messing with you. My wife, let's call her Jess, has been dealing with something that causes severe fatigue and joint pain. Jess is historically the more cautious one between the two of us. Our oldest child went back to school this week, and so everyone needs to get up earlier than normal. So here is where the story starts. It is about 30 minutes after putting the child to sleep. Jess is preparing for bed as well, and a severe thunderstorm watch alert goes out with a possible tornado warning. Outside is lightning show and strong winds visible. I tell Jess it is time to go down to the main floor. We have a 2-story house and bedrooms are on the top floor. She is visibly frustrated but agrees. I wake up the children and bring them down to the couch. The whole time we are waiting, Jess is complaining about not being able to get enough sleep and asking, why can't I just go back up to the bed upstairs with the children and come back down if it gets worse? She kept calling it a thunderstorm when I kept saying it is a severe thunderstorm. I kept responding about how that isn't what you do when there's a severe thunderstorm and we need to wait longer. The radar showed a swell of bad weather heading in our direction within the next half hour. Also, the beds are right next to big windows. Reminder, she is normally the cautious one, so it was bothering me that she was downplaying the storm so much. After about 3 or 4 times of her doing this, I accused her of putting her need for sleep ahead of the children's safety. I think I said something along the lines of, your need for sleep isn't more important than the kids' safety. Stop downplaying the storm. I didn't say that. I did not say that in our story. She goes, that did not go over well. What followed was a massive tongue lashing about how could I even say that she cares more about herself than the kids, how she is not a bad mom, how she had been so tired that whole day. I told her that I wasn't saying she was a bad mom, but in that moment, she was being selfish with her needs, and that sorry, the storm doesn't care how tired or sore you are. None of that changes the fact that we were under a severe thunderstorm warning, and I didn't think it was a good idea to have the kids upstairs. Fortunately, the storm pushed north of us and had nothing more come of it in our area. Unfortunately, she is using this as justification that she was right to suggest going upstairs all along. Now that part seems accurate. But the storm north of us did result in a tornado. Houses were damaged and news is reporting a small death count. So it could have just as easily been our area. So, am I the astronaut for telling my wife to stop being selfish with her need for sleep? Edit, a few people have asked why I didn't just let her go upstairs. I don't have a problem if that's what she wanted to do, but she wanted to bring the kids up with her, and I had a problem with that. Our children are both under 6. Edit 2, this all took place within 20 to 30 minutes before 9 p.m. The kids hadn't even fallen asleep yet. Edit 3, well, this certainly blew up. As many people guessed, I do live in West Michigan where the weather got aggressive Thursday night. I live about 10 minutes south of downtown GR. I have lived in West Michigan my whole life and do not panic every time there is a storm. Last night escalated fast and I brought my kids downstairs as a precaution. Okay, so there are 2 different questions that were actually asked here. The first question was, am I the astronaut for telling my wife she was putting her needs before our kids' safety during a severe thunderstorm? And then the last question was, am I the astronaut for telling my wife to stop being selfish with her need for sleep? So, you know what? Before I give my feedback, let's bring Candy Thunder on to talk about what she thinks about this story. Ladies and gentlemen, Candy Thunder.
So I don't take storms as seriously as Dusty takes storms, but he said it was...
We're talking about OP here.
He said it was a severe thunderstorm watch with a possible tornado warning. And I'm like, that's not the same thing. A thunderstorm watch does not come with a possible tornado warning. There could be a tornado watch at the same time, but there's no side of tornado warning with a thunderstorm watch. So I feel like he wasn't being like... He was escalating the situation to make his point seem more severe.
Possibly.
I don't think it's an ESH. I think it was just he felt like it was going to be a bad storm, but I feel like he could have brought the kids down if something had escalated with the storms. You don't get our kids out of bed unless something is.
I don't get the kids out of bed until there's an imminent threat. However, I do have a plan, and
Correct.
If there is the threat of severe weather that night, I will make sure that the teens all know and confirm the plan, and I'll confirm with Candy Thunder the plan. I have trauma.
Right, and I completely understand and respect that, and you go above and beyond when something something is happening, like when there's severe weather, like you understand weather, you look at it. But in this point, I feel like everyone's going to react differently based on the trauma that they experience with storms.
Right.
And I feel like he said that he's lived there his whole life. He knew what was going to happen. But I don't know. I don't think that he should have called his wife selfish. I don't think there was anything wrong with her going upstairs. If he felt the kids needed to be down there, then keep the kids. But she's a grown person. She could go upstairs and be there if that's where she wanted to be.
But there's this, when it comes to the safety of the family, though, that's where I'm with OP on is like the storm doesn't care. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care about anything.
No,
we have seen here in Joplin,
yes,
like the weather do just unspeakable things, and it does not give a single flying F.
No, it doesn't matter what you're doing.
And
weather's gonna weather.
Yeah, but I do think that it does bring about a tense moment too. Like there's that time whenever if he is panicking, like I sometimes do panic whenever it's imminent. I can't sleep. I have to stare out the window. I trust my eyeballs and my ears more than I trust the radar. Like I know what to listen for now. Like I legit cannot sleep. I will be at the window until that storm is passed. If it is anything severe, like we had a storm roll through last night and it stormed all night long, and it did not bother me because there was no like severe threat in it. So it probably isn't everyone sucks here because, if she wanted to go up and then let the kids stay down, that's one thing, but she wanted to take the kids up.
How we would have handled it in that moment. If I see that this is something that severely bothered you and you felt strongly about it, this is not you holding the front doors and wanting to nail a giant board into my trim. This is something different. But if you felt in that moment that this weather was going to turn bad, I would trust you more than I would trust myself in that moment. So I would listen to you. And we've been in our storm shelter. Like we have our stuff set up. If something happens, I know like who I'm responsible for, you know who you're responsible for. We have our plan. And I go to bed knowing that Dustin is in charge, basically. He's going to handle whatever happens that night with the storm.
Yeah. And I think
your last name is Storm.
That's right. That's right. You would think I have some kind of control over it, but I don't. We have double doors up front, and it was pushing them open. That was the hard part.
He wanted to nail a giant board across both the front doors, and it wouldn't have stopped what was happening. Like it needed people pushing on the doors. But so Dustin held them shut, and then the front came through, and it was fine. The storm wasn't even that bad. There was no threat to our family.
No, it passed, and it was fine.
There was just a threat to our front doors, and if they blew open, nothing would have happened.
It's now comical. At the time,
it was very comical for me at the time.
At the
time, it was
time,
very annoying.
It was a little comical for her, but because I'm also like triggered by severe weather, it was a very stressful time for me. But here in this case, I think if OP had a plan that OP and his wife agreed upon,
yes,
that plan could have prevented this, and it's probably an ESH for that fact. If they had a plan that they agreed on, then they could have just followed that plan and everything had been okay.